So, Ambassador Seiple, we've just heard a little bit about the highlights of your work and your service over the past few decades. I'm wondering, through that time, have there been any experiences that have really shaped your worldview, that have sort of prodded you along the path that you've ultimately taken?
Well, all these experiences have a face. And if I've done nothing else in my life, I've tried to put a face on the problems. And in terms of this issue and all of its ramifications, I learned more from a young woman, 18-year-old Mary in Lebanon, about religious freedom and reconciliation than I probably learned from anyone.
Right.
In meeting with her, she was part of that terrible civil war in Lebanon that was at least partly a religious conflict. And there came a day when someone from another tribe, another religion, another ethnicity came in, shooting up everybody. And Mary ran with everybody, fell to the ground, and before she could get up, someone put a gun to her head and said, "Deny the cross or die." Now, this is an 18-year-old. This is coercion, the worst kind of coercion. This is the worst of religion. And in that instance, the best of her faith came through. She said, "I was born a Christian, I'll die a Christian." Well, he pulled the trigger, and instantly Mary was a quadriplegic. When I met Mary, she's in an institution, she's strapped to a wheelchair. I mean, everything's been taken away from her, except her religious freedom. And for Mary, that was enough. And I said to her, "Mary, how do you feel about this man who tried to take your life?" I mean, it was a miracle that she was still alive. And she said, "I've forgiven him." And I said, "Mary, how in the world could you forgive him?" She said, "Well, that's what God did for me. I could do no other." You know, Miroslav Volf was supposed to speak here. My favorite theologian once said, what God has done, man must do. The Apostle Paul said it a little bit more eloquently, but with a few more words as well. We are now agents of reconciliation. So there's coercion, and coercion that's overcome by positive faith. And that positive faith leads and puts a new face on this whole religious freedom issue, the reconciliation that comes. Now, for the Christian, reconciliation is the heart of our gospel. But this is, I think, the purpose of this Congress, the theme of this Congress. How do you deal with people with deep differences?
Yeah.
Well, you have to respect them. You have to know them. You can't respect somebody you don't know. And that takes a lot of work, and it's not easy. It's not easy. This is a woman in a wheelchair for the rest of her life. But also when it happens, it leaves an impression. So for me, I've got a picture of Mary in my office downstairs. And I will always have a picture of Mary on my desk. She's taught me more about this. This was a game changer for Seiple.
Now, okay, so you had this experience and you had this this new understanding, I guess, of the importance of religious freedom. Then as you took up the office of the United States Ambassador at Large, the first Ambassador at Large for international religious freedom, how did you then take that and try to translate it into practice during your tenure there?
Well, you're talking to a whole different cast of characters.
Right.
With World Vision, it was always from the ground up. You're down in the gutter in some respects, but you're working through local things, churches and so on. And when I got into the government, I was, of course, working more top down. You got picked up at airports. You got driven around, and all those kind of things that come with that. But what we tried to do is let people know, let countries know, China, Saudi Arabia, etc., that it was in their best interest. I wasn't trying to change their worldview. I wasn't trying to give them a new set of ethics. I wanted to appeal to their pragmatism. This is in your best interest to treat people well. And I thought we made considerable progress. Now, there's a long, long way to go.
Yeah.
And it's been a long time coming. But I think if we can, again, keep our perspective on the face of this issue, the Marys of the world. We can communicate that to anybody in any country, in any context.
Ambassador Seiple, we are so thankful for your contributions and your service through so many years, and we're thankful that you've spoken to us here at the World Congress.
Sorry I'm not there, but I'm glad I could speak through you.
Thank you.